Hi everyone, welcome back to Art with Mrs. Hudson. Today we are going to create a color wheel. So the first thing we're going to do is I'd like to write the words color wheel. At the top of my page. We are going to actually be using some food coloring to make our colors today. We are going to be using those as watercolors instead of food colors. Next up, we need a circle. So our color wheel is typically a circle. You can use circles you can use spaces in a circle, but our colors all have to be in the correct order in order for it to work properly. So the step one, we are going to create our circle for our color wheel by tracing any round object. So I found a plastic cup. You're welcome to use any kind of cup, small circle that you have. The next thing that you will need is you will need something with a straight edge. So I have a ruler, but you could also use anything that you have around. You could even use the box from your paints. You can use a folder or anything that you have around. You could even use the edge of a piece of paper or a book. So I'm going to use my ruler. Step one, I'm going to cut my circle in half. So I'm going to think about approximately where half of my circle will be, and I want to line down the middle. If you have a ruler, a good idea would be to figure out where the center of your circle actually is. So for me, my circle is 2 inches. So I would then make a straight vertical line, straight up and down the center of my circle. The next step is we need to create 3 equal triangles on each side. So since we know that our circle is 2 inches wide, I am going to measure with my ruler and make a mark where the center of my circle is. So all of my lines should converge or cross at that center point. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to make a little mark across from where I think that's going to be. So now I think I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 triangles ready to go. So now I make my triangles by connecting 2 marks on either side of my circle. So we're going to line up our ruler or straight edge across. And now we know we have 6 even spaces, or approximately even. We didn't measure the distance, but we're close. So now the next thing that we want to do is we want to make sure that we label what colors go where. The reason we do this is because we don't want to be confused when it's time to add our colors on. So the first color I will label is going to be red. R-E-D. The second color is going to be orange. O-R-A-N-G-E. The third color I will label is going to be yellow. Y-E-L-L-O-W. The next color is going to be green. G-R-E-E-N. If you notice, I'm turning my paper as I write them because it's really hard to write upside down. So the next color after green is going to be blue. The next will be purple. Did any of you recognize what the order I put them in? Does that look familiar to anyone? If you said it looks like the order of the rainbow, you're correct. Okay, so we need to put them in rainbow order in order for all of our colors to work together. Because what happens is our primary colors, our blue, red, and yellow, all can mix to create our secondary colors. So if we mix our red and our yellow, it would make orange. If we mix our yellow and our blue, it makes green. If we mix our blue and our red, it makes purple. So these colors all create our color wheel. So we have primary colors, so we're going to write our primary over here. What colors are our primary colors? I'm going to put an R, a Y, and a B for red, yellow, and blue. If you said red, yellow, and blue, you are correct. The next set of colors we're going to put is our secondary colors. Can any of you guess what our secondary colors might be? If you said orange, green, and purple, you are correct. Also, purple can also be called violet. So in different places you see it written differently. So we often refer to the color as purple, but it's technically called violet. I'm just going to underline my words here. All right, so now what we are going to do is we're going to try out our watercolors that we're making with our food coloring. So what we're going to do is we're just going to take one drop and place it in your circle. Now at home you probably don't have a paint tray, but what you could use is little Dixie cups. If you have the little bathroom cups, those small cups, you only need like a tablespoon, a very, very small amount of water, and a very, very small amount of food coloring. So for the food coloring, if you have just 1 tablespoon or less of water, you're just going to add 1 drop of food coloring. So we have yellow, red, and blue. So make sure that you have a cup of water to rinse your brush. So with the yellow, we're just going to mix it in a little bit. We want to rinse our brush in between so we don't mix our colors up too soon. We have our red, and then we have our blue. Okay, so since my paintbrush is in my blue, I'm going to start out by painting my triangle blue. Now when I paint, I make sure that I use very light touch and I try to stay inside my lines as best I can. What I do to help myself do that is I first outline my shape with my watercolors. And then I fill it in, gentle strokes, I brush back and forth, really soft. I never let the metal of my paintbrush touch the paper. I do it really slow and careful and gentle. And then I'm going to rinse my brush. Now, if you haven't used watercolors before, you'll know that if you put your color directly next to the color, sometimes our colors blend together, which we call bleeding. And we don't want that to happen, so we're going to do all of our primary colors first. I'm actually going to take and I'll put my blue around my B. So I'm going to make a circle of blue under the word primary and color that one blue. So my next color I will do is I will do red up at the top. Now the red is turning out a little more pink, so let's try maybe adding 1 more dot of food coloring, just to try to make it a little bit more vibrant. And it's okay if your color is a little bit more on the pink side, that's fine. we make do with what we have. So again, I outline around my shape. I very gently move my paint around. Now if you notice, I'm not putting a whole lot of paint on my spot. If I put a whole lot of paint on my spot, it's going to take a really long time to dry. So you want to make sure you're using just a little bit at a time, because if it's still wet, it's going to be hard for us to do our next set of colors. We don't want them to all mix together. My yellow space is a little bit larger, so we're gonna fill that yellow in, and that's okay. So I'm going back and forth, gentle brush strokes. Rinse my brush. Oh, I forgot, let's do our yellow circle over here. Now we rinse. Okay. So now we are into mixing our colors. So the blue and the red, they need to make purple. Now I've tried this before and the purple doesn't look as purple as I would like it to, but we're gonna try it. So we're going to take and we're going to, oops, first do our red down here. I forgot about my red circle. So all of our primary colors are accounted for. Now I'm gonna take my red and I'm going to paint my purple circle red. Now this you must do really fast. You want to work quickly when you're doing this because you want your colors to mix. So because they dry pretty fast, you want to make sure that you do it quickly. Otherwise, you'll end up with them not mixing. So now I'm going to take my blue and I'm going to add my blue on top of my red. And if you can see, I think it's working. We're turning kind of purple. I'm going to add a little bit more blue, not too much though, only a little bit at a time because we don't want it to turn brown. That's what was happening to me earlier. But I think that looks fairly purple. Not too bad. All right, now we're always starting with the lighter color of the two, just to make sure that we don't mix up our darker color. So let's start with our yellow to make our orange. And we're painting nice and fast, but still nice and gentle. We don't want to break our brushes or smush our bristles. Rinse our brush. Okay, we forgot we got to do our purple down here. So I'm going to put some red, rinse my brush, and do some blue. Okay, so now we're going to go back up to the orange, and we are going to add our red on top of the yellow. Check it out. Is it turning orange? I'd say it looks pretty orange to me. All right, so now we'll put some orange over here. We'll put some yellow and some red, maybe a little more yellow. There we go. We got some orange. Our last color is going to be the green. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put our yellow, and then we're gonna take a touch of blue. And we will make green. Maybe add a little more yellow. All right. Don't forget to rinse your brush or you'll turn your yellow green. Okay, so now we're gonna paint our next triangle. With our yellow. And what color shall we put on top? Blue. You are correct. So if you see when I touch it, it kind of spreads a little. I don't know if you saw that. But when we put one wet color on top of another, it's called wet on wet. makes a really cool effect. But we want ours to completely mix because we're trying to make the color wheel. All right, so there's our color wheel with our red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and purple. Now, one more challenge I'd like to ask you is, some of our colors are called certain color families, and in our color families, we have some warm colors and some cool colors. So these three colors on the color wheel are actually all considered, what do you think? What would red, orange, and yellow feel to you? Do they feel warm or do they feel cool? If you said warm, you are correct. So I'm going to write the word warm. I'm going to just put some arrows. And then on the other side of my color wheel, green, blue, and purple are all part of the cool color family. So we learned a couple different color families. We learned the primary colors, the secondary colors, the warm colors, the cool colors, and that's what we're going to do for today. Thanks so much for joining me.